Okay, friend of the Jason Lee Show, Jasmine Crockett, the Congresswoman from Texas, she's on the list today because she is dragging the president for filth. Now, Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett dragged Donald Trump for filth, and baby, we were right there to sip all of the tea. Now, as Trump continues his warpath, he not only calls Jasmine a low IQ person, but seeks to cut Section 8 and issue more bans. Before we get into the dragging, let's get into Trump finally admitting that seeking a third presidential term is unconstitutional. I don't know if I have 3 more days of the Trump presidency, let alone 3 terms. In March, remember, he told Kristen Welker from NBC News that he was not joking about running for a 3rd time, arguing that there are ways to make the impossible possible. And 2 months later, Trump now tells Kristen that a 3rd term isn't allowed and suggests that Vice President J.D. Vance or Secretary of State Mark Rubio, both who I believe are unfit, could be his successors. Here's an audio of him talking about no longer seeking the 3rd term. Listen.
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a 3rd term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
The Constitution does prohibit it. Some of your allies are pretty serious about this, though, Mr. President. I've spoken to them. They say they are coming up with potential ways.
Well,
obviously, the biggest one will be a constitutional amendment.
That's because they like the job I'm doing, and it's a compliment.
Has anyone in an official capacity presented you with ideas?
Capacity of being a big supporter of many people have said different things, but
okay.
I'm not looking at that.
You have built a political movement that has transformed the Republican Party. It's transformed the country, quite frankly.
Political movement in history, MAGA. Make America great again.
When you look to the future, Mr. President, do you think the MAGA movement can survive without you as its leader?
Yes, I do.
What gives you?
I think it's so strong. We have a tremendous group of people. We talked about a number of them. You look at Marco, you look at J.D. Vance, who's fantastic. You look at, I could name 10, 15, 20 people right now just sitting here. No, I think we have a tremendous party. And you know what I can't name? I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray.
Who do you see as your successor, Mr. President?
Well, it's far too early to say that. But, I do have a vice president, and typically it would be, and JD's doing a fantastic job.
He would be at the top of the list?
It could very well be. I don't want to get involved in that. I think he's a fantastic, brilliant guy. Marco is great. There's a lot of them that are great. I also see tremendous unity. But certainly you would say that somebody's the VP. If that person is outstanding, I guess that person would have an advantage. But I think the other people would all stay in unbelievably high positions. But, it could be that he'd be challenged by somebody. We have a lot of good people in this party.
Is that at least the first bit of good news for today?
I mean, yeah, it's nice to hear some change of events here.
I don't think we can mentally take more war on terrorists, more, or just more on everything. Every day there's a new war. I was just seeing the other day, Trump was in a conversation with the president of Canada, and he was congratulating him on his win and building him up and telling him how he was great, this and that. And then he goes, I just hate that little line between our countries. It's called a border.
You know what? You saw they're going to change it officially to Gulf of America, too?
Listen, I'm not even there yet.
It's
he
a lot.
basically said we should erase the little line between Canada because he likes the way it looks. And that Canada could be a 51st state. Anyways, the Canadian president read Trump for filth, and he said, as much as you know real estate, not everything is for sale, including this room at the White House and Canada.
They don't want these problems.
Trump said never say never. Anyway, I'll get back to you on whether or not we're going to buy Canada. Let's move on. Continuing his conversation, Trump spoke on the Democrats, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Texas Congresswoman, my friend, Jasmine Crockett, whom he says has a low IQ. Before I let you hear what he said, let's be very clear. She can't be handled in and outside of a courtroom, in and outside of Congress or anywhere else because she's highly intelligent, overly qualified. And I'm thankful for democracy that she's right there to stay on your orange pill. Take a listen.
And you know what I can't name? I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do. And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. You know, it's good. Being challenged is okay. It keeps you sharp. I don't know what they're going to do. They have nobody. Bernie's 87 years old or something. And, you know, Biden is the worst thing that ever happened to old people because he was grossly incompetent. And I think maybe for artificial reasons. You know, he had operations and things. So maybe that's an artificial. But I know people that are unbelievably sharp, and they're older than 87. But I watch Bernie Sanders. He's a nut job, but he's still sharp. He's sharp as he's the same guy he was. He hasn't gone down. But Biden is really, he's the worst thing to happen to old people.
Biden is somewhere trying to get back on his bike. He ain't worried about you, Trump. Although listening to the oldest president because he's the oldest now. Well, now that he's in office, anyway. You old too, Trump. And I don't know why you're age shaming him and Bernie and everybody else. And when you start speaking on people, that's when you actually show that you're threatened by these people. Do you think that Trump's threatened by all the Democrats that he mentioned?
No, he don't strike me as anybody who's threatened by anybody. I just think it's like the highest form of gaslighting because you don't have to agree with anything that somebody says to call them low IQ or high IQ. Like, you don't have to like Jasmine Crockett, but she is so intelligent. Like, you cannot call her low IQ. That's what I cannot get past.
This was a fight you started, Trump. Jasmine heard you and she checked you because she feels like you're threatening and intimidating her. This is what she said. For you to be in charge of the whole country, you sure do have my name in your mouth a lot. Every time you say my name, you're reminding the world you're terrified of smart, bold black women telling the truth and holding you accountable. So keep on talking. Well, days later, the Supreme Court gave the Trump administration the green light to enforce a ban on transgender troops serving openly in the military. That's a whole nother hit that he took this week. And the Trump administration insists that trans people can't meet the rigorous standards required to serve and that their inclusion jeopardizes military readiness and unit cohesion. And let me just stop there for a minute. I'm not even going to get into whether I agree or disagree with them because to take a side on whether or not trans people or any person should have the ability to do anything they want, to me means that you'd be stripping away people's ability to live out a life, you know, equitably to other people around them. Recently, I had Candace Owens on the Jason Lee show, and we went back and forth over the whole trans topic. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what she said in case you missed that interview. Take a look. Now that we live in a world where transsexual is a thing, what is your opposition to it? Like,
this insistence that we allow children to think that they can pick and choose their genders, that's definitely a psychosis. Like, this was not a thing. People were not struggling in kindergarten. We were not arguing about bathrooms. Like, this is all just made up. You're asking me to be crazy. You're asking me to look at a grown man and imagine that he's actually a woman, and that if he goes and gets work done, that he magically becomes a woman. So it's insanity. Otherwise, you'd have to defend Rachel Dolezal.
Well, there's no. Well,
would you defend her?
Well, there's no defending crazy. That's crazy. But
why is that crazy?
Hold on. Because she was a white woman that says she was black.
Yeah, that's a man saying he's a woman.
But let's back up.
We're talking about the trans issue. She's transracial. So give her respect, put respect in her name.
Explain to me how.
Because on the inside she felt black, she was dressing like she was black, she was making her skin darker like she was black, she was standing for the black cause, she was working for the NAACP. Just happened to be that she was, you know, born a white girl with blonde hair and freckles. And it only became problematic when somebody exposed it and people said, no, you can't just be black. Why not? If you're gonna say that a man can just be a woman, why can't Rachel Dolezal just be black? You got to be consistent.
Because she's white.
Okay, because it's a man.
No, but hold on. I get it.
You know I'm right.
I get it.
You know I'm right.
No, I don't agree.
I'm sorry that I'm consistent, but you have to figure out why you're not.
I mean, what do you? Are there bigger, more important things to focus on right now than banning the trans people from the military?
1,000%. I wish Rob was here to second this because I know he's our political chair. But for me, it's like I want everyone to remember this when no one's signing up and they have to force to do a draft. I'm going to say I'm trans, so I don't have to go on the board.
How is he the most political person when I'm a vice mayor?
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Well, see how I like the trans just disappeared, just totally didn't even exist. Well, days after Jasmine checked Trump and his trans military ban made the news, Jasmine played a game of Trump or trans with National Women's Law Center CEO Fatima Goss-Graves during a hearing about government efficiency. Look,
Miss Goss-Graves, I want to play a game. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over 30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing. Yet the Republicans have been silent. So they must think spending taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. And when I talk about constituents, we're going to talk about the ones on this committee.
first and foremost, Jasmine, you inspire me to want to be just like you. And that's why Stockton can barely handle me now. First of all, it was your colleague to your right who could not stop giggling. And I would have been giggling too. It was your colleague up above, the beach blonde, bad-built butch body, who needs to be paying attention, but she was probably there on Groupon trying to find some hair dye. And it was you playing trans or Trump that had me tickled because that was just the most creative thing in the world. And the last thing, why was Trump's stomach and gut hanging all out like that on that poster board that you put up behind you? You are so shady, but keep it up, doing a great job, okay? Now, days later, Trump dropped his first budget plan since returning to office. He's seeking $26.7 billion cut to Section 8 and other housing programs, a 43% drop in funding. Now, if Congress approves, the federal government would allow states to take over control. Housing funds will turn into block grants, giving each state the power to decide who qualifies and how much help that they will get. And some may get help or not. Some might be left shit out of luck. Well, currently, about 2.3 million families use Section 8 vouchers to help pay rent. Now, under Trump's proposal, fewer people would get help, and new rules would limit how some can stay in the program. Now, adults with no disabilities would only get help for 2 years. Now, experts warn Trump's proposal will leave more people struggling to survive, spike the homelessness, and pack out shelters. And then I say to all of you, this is what y'all voted for. This is what y'all voted for. You still can't find no eggs. You know, I went to a restaurant the other day, and on the door in Stockton, it said, and I swear to God, it said $1 price, $1 surcharge per egg. They were charging an extra dollar per egg. Yep. So if you get a 3-egg combo, that's $3 extra on top of your
tariffs. No, it's not tariffs.
That ain't tariffs. That's
no,
terror.
I know. That's
terror.
And that's why I have a huge problem with the space thing when everyone went to space. Because I'm like, there's huge issues. And that to me was like a weird distraction. And it's crazy because rich people are out here going to the moon and getting tax breaks. And the poor are getting eviction notices. Jay, you know what? I'm taking that button off your machine.
Went to space, okay? Let her go to space.
No. And she went to the Met Gala. She shouldn't have either done that.
She's Gayle King. That's don't come for Gayle.
I'm not.
Gayle, we still cool. I don't know what she's talking about. Jasmine, I can't wait to see you at the Hollywood Unlocked Impact Awards. Trump, please just stop. Just, is there any rationalizing with Trump, do you think? Is there anybody that can go to him and say, Trump, what are you doing?
I don't even think Elon can. His buka.
Who?
Elon.
I think he got
his
fired.
king. He did?
No.
Oh, hell.
Well,
allegedly.
All right, bye.